This London street art is the work of school kids encouraged to develop creative and technical skills. Now, right across the world, young people are told that if they do that, the jobs will follow. But what if there aren't enough jobs to go round?
Hassan is giving orders again. He's telling the hired hand how to lay the irrigation pipes. Haksar has worked in agriculture all his life, like his family before him. But Hassan, well, he's a little new to all this.
I can't say I'm a farmer. Originally, I was not a farmer. Farmers have experience. I just don't have.
Hassan's no weekend farmer, no city boy turned landowner. He's one of a new. His story, the solution to one of globalization's greatest dilemmas. Or is it? Back home, you might think Hassan was a simple man. He lives with his new wife and children in a modest two-room home. Yet he lives a life that his old friends might envy. When he goes back to his place in the city, well, he likes to show off a little.
My neighbors back there in the city envy me and can only dream of what I have now. I took some apricots from here and gave them to my neighbors. They asked me where I got them. I told them from my land in the desert. They wanted to get land too, but now they can't because it's very expensive, so they can only dream of having land.
Hassan is a university graduate. His degree is in business. But he doesn't commute to an office every day. His place of work is a farm, 200 kilometers from Cairo. And it isn't even land in the fertile Nile Delta. Strangely, it seems, Hassan has chosen to farm in the desert. And he doesn't always get it quite right.
I know I'm late planting, but there is nothing I can do. Actually, there are some benefits in delaying. When you plow the field, it is exposed to sunshine, which sterilises the soil and kills the fungus and bad microbes.
The next morning, a bus ride. Today, Hassan's being trained in the most basic art of all around here, irrigation. The instructor talks about conserving water, of vital importance in a country that's almost all desert.
I have been flooding the whole field, but today I learned how to give water to just the green areas. So while usually I give several liters per acre, here they told us to water according to the size of the green area and the size of the plants.
Hassan lives in Al Yasha, what looks like a normal village. But take a closer look. These are not the farmers they appear to be. The truth is, it's not just Hassan. Almost all the men and many of the women in the village are graduates. And it's not just here. Throughout the desert east and west of Cairo, dozens of villages are made up of thousands of graduates who've come to farm, many without any farming experience at all.
We had no idea what we were doing. Any little problems become a puzzle for us. The land was sandy. The first crops we planted just dried up. Then either the water or the electricity wouldn't work. So if it was a hot day, the plants would dry up completely. And then you would plant again.
Desert? Without electricity or water? No idea of how to farm? What are Hassan and the graduates doing here? Cairo is where Hassan came from. Few capital cities better represent the modern, globalized metropolis. Its cafes are teeming with young people. They make up a massive percentage of Cairo's population, as they now do throughout the Middle East. 2 in 3 people are under the age of 25. In Egypt, many are the newly educated children of poor families, pouring out of universities and vocational schools.
Hundreds of thousands are graduating every year from the education system and from vocational schools. And over 700,000 of jobs have to be created every year to meet the intake of these graduates. And it's a tremendous challenge. It's a tremendous burden for government. You find that youth are perceived as more of a liability.
The people in danger of being seen as liabilities by the government, they're young people like 25-year-old Tarek.
مش هينفع يعني ان انا بالمرتب يعني المرتب ده
is barely enough to meet my minimal personal needs. I can't begin to think about taking steps like marriage or moving into my own apartment. Not at all.
Tarek's plight could have been Hassan's. He is, in fact, a land surveyor. But after years of trying to find work, he now takes whatever low-paid job he can find. His fate, the one Hassan avoided.
Most of my generation, especially my friends, are in the same situation. It limits our way of thinking. We can't think about the future because we know at best we can only earn enough to pay for our basic needs. There's no jobs, no money, no thinking. What can we do?
Like other countries, Egypt has seen education as a route out of poverty. And for a long time it was, since every graduate was guaranteed a secure government job. Today, the government can no longer afford to employ every graduate, yet many continue to believe it will.
You have an entire generation who's been raised on this notion of dependency. So now you have to change this whole concept with them and have them take on the responsibility to find their own jobs or to find their own self-employment opportunities, right? So this is a whole new world to many young people.
But where do those opportunities lie? For a time, Hassan looked to private business, but then the vagaries of globalization caused him to rethink his plan.
اشتغلت في التجارة.
I was working as an accountant in an air-conditioned building. I had a good salary, a comfortable job. But when China started to export things to Egypt, our industry became less competitive, and my income started to decrease once again. So I began to think maybe agriculture was a better option for me than business.
Hassan's personal decision was more momentous than it seemed, perhaps even to him. For generations, young country dwellers have seen their future in the big cities, not on the land. Late in the 20th century, many governments encouraged the trend, contributing to megacities like Cairo. Hassan was reversing the tide of history. And he wasn't alone. In Al-Yasha, the same village as Hassan now lives, meet Badar. He's taken the same decision, a graduate returning to the land. But unlike Hassan, Badar knew what he was doing. He'd grown up in farm country and studied agriculture.
كان في بالنسبة للناس دول طبعا منشأهم ما كانش منشأ زراعي. في ابن الريف اللي معاه اللي حصل على الكليه دي بيختلف عن ابن المدينه، وفي ناس احنا ساعدناهم وكنا بنديلهم الخبره بتاعتنا لان برضو كل الحاجات دي مطلوبه.
But here in the desert, the only land they could afford, even the experienced Bada found it tough. Back at home, Bada's wife Samia is helping their son Mohammed with his homework. She's reminded of one traumatic experience.
ايوه كانت مشكله كبيره وما كناش مثلا انا نفسي مريت بالتجربه دي. كنت حامل في محمد ابني يعني ظروف بتاع الولاده وكده ما جاليش الا الفجر او يعني كده. فاياميها كانت والدتي معايا فبرضه كان معانا جيران برضه ناس كويسه وكده فسعفوني ومشوا معايا ودورنا هنا على اي دكتور او دايه او اي حاجه برضه ما لقيناش وكده فطلعنا المدينه برضه ما فيش واحنا رايحين في طريق ام طمير ولدت محمد في الطريق هناك.
As for Hassan building a life in the desert, well, he'd been warned by his first wife.
فلما جه
When I took the possession of the land, I drove my wife to the spot. My wife looked out of the window from the car and said, "Where is the land? I can only see the sky connected to the desert."
انت بتقول ارضنا فين؟ السماء ملتصقه بالارض وما فيش الا سماء وارض.
Well, she refused to even get out of the car.
خافت تنزل.
Hassan's wife believed he'd made a terrible mistake. But was she right? And who or what had lured him here? It was 20 years ago in Cairo that Hassan's life changed. He was just reading a newspaper.
فنزل في الجرايد ان في عشان مشكله البطاله في اكثر من unemployment problem for young graduates. في اللي عنده فكره عن مشروع يروح في الصندوق الاجتماعي يديله المشروع. كان في وزاره التموين كانت بتدي عربيات كده سوزوكي كمنفذ توزيع متنقل عايز قرض يعمل مشروع يدرس دراسه جدوى. وقالوا في مشاريع تانية للناس اللي هم الفلاحين او اللي عايزين يروحوا الاراضي الزراعيه في الحكومه تدي اراضي زراعيه هتجيبوا على 30 سنه لا فيها فايده ولا فيها حاجه وكده فقلت خلاص اروح.
What gave Hassan his chance? The government could no longer afford to guarantee jobs for all Egypt's graduates. By offering some land instead, it hoped to tackle some of the country's other big problems too.
هناك خطة قومية لاستصلاح الأراضي.
The state's national plan is to reclaim about 150,000 acres of land each year. It's something we have to do. We have no choice because of overpopulation. We also have to have a secure source of food. And to secure food, you have to secure jobs. So it's all linked.
And so today, Hassan in his fields is the product of a remarkable and largely unnoticed historic experiment. A whole colony of graduates like him, nearly 40,000 over 2 decades, have headed into the Egyptian desert. Here they became farmers and put behind them the notion of a government job. 4 out of 10 eventually failed. Hassan was among them. But he came back 4 years ago and joined the others who were making it work. Badar has some training already behind him. He's earned enough farming to build other businesses, like this ironworks. A healthcare center and a school have also opened. A school attended by Badar's son Mohammed, born in the desert without the help of doctors.
Before the school was built, it was just desert. There wasn't any life here. It was an empty place. After the graduates came, life blossomed. Today the students come to the school and make friendship. All the parents too know each other, and the village has become strong.
But they didn't do it alone. There's been help from outside, like Ahmed. He's an agricultural technician who's come to help Hassan with his irrigation problems. Many, like Ahmed, realized what a hard time the graduates were having at first, and the potential they offered. One organization, the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, has been training farmers on how to grow crops for export and then linking them to markets.
انطلقت فكرة المشروع بحيث أنه
We found graduates were more receptive to new ideas and new agriculture technologies.
المتعلمين فبالتالي استيعاب التكنولوجيا الحديثة. والمنطقة الغرب هي منطقة واعدة لوجودها من قربها من منطقة من ميناء اسكندرية، وخاصة اهتمام المصدرين إلى وجود كميات هائلة ومواصفات جيدة مقبولة لدى الأسواق الأوروبية والخليجية.
سعيد استعدل عشان مبقاش معوج ها.
But water, as Hassan knows, is the first order of business. To get it from the Nile, the country's only source of water, to fields like his required hundreds of kilometers of canals, pipes and pumps.
95% تقريبا من الأراضي
Almost all
المصرية
crops
هي
are
أراضي
irrigated by the
صحراوية
Nile.
قاحلة.
Some critics say, why waste these valuable resources in the desert?
تعتمد الزراعة كلها في مصر
It is definitely not a waste of water, because the land is now arable.
من النيل. هناك من يقول أنه
With some
استعمال
training,
المياه
we were able to introduce new varieties suitable for
هو
export.
بحقيقة ليس هدر، وخاصة المشروع ساهم في كمان
There have also been
تنمية
improvements to
الحيوانية.
livestock.
بالإضافة إلى الإنتاج النباتي صار في
People
كمان
now
إنتاج
have
حيواني،
milk for
صار
the
المربي
children,
يوفر
and they can sell the surplus.
الحليب للأطفال، وفي نفس
All
الوقت
of these things generated economic growth in the desert communities.
ومخلفات البقرة.
Hassan has had some financial success selling his apricots and mangoes. Now he wants to plant these grape vines. But the water pipes still haven't been laid. He's waiting for a tractor to arrive to dig trenches. In the meantime, the temperature is rising.
The leaves on some of the vines are drying out. The temperatures are much more extreme than they were. I need to plant these as soon as possible.
It's at moments like this that Hassan wonders if the decision he and other less experienced graduates made to come to the desert may have been a mistake.
هو ده يعني مش ما كانش خطأ من
The mistake was that most of us came without experience of farming knowledge. The government wanted to solve the unemployment problem. They gave us a solution. They cannot do more than this. But it was our mistake to choose something where we had no experience.
Unlucky Hassan, whose first wife was right after all, just the sky connected to the desert. Our tour of the Egyptian desert suggests that's not quite the end of the story. Faiza isn't quite wearing traditional rural garb. We came across her toiling away in the sun several hours east of Hassan's village. She's another graduate farmer.
Many of my friends have no job at all and no land to grow food. If I hadn't received this land, things would be very bad for my husband and me because the cost of living is so high. We believe we are very lucky.
So lucky, says Faiza, that she now has clean water at the turn of a tap. Egypt has invested millions of dollars in building water treatment plants, like this one near Faiza's village. It provides a steady supply of clean drinking water to dozens of new graduate settlements.
I see my future here. I would like to continue to reclaim land from the desert and expand my farm.
Around the corner from Faiza's, two more graduates. Amal is a developmental psychologist, Atta a geochemist. Both have long been tilling the desert soil.
The situation is improved too much than the time at which we received the land. Right now, everything is there is a soft water, there is the machines for reclaiming and serve our land. Everything is improved.
The salary or the money for our planted or our land, it's good in any job.
A good income, yes. It's a season income, in fact, yes. Yeah. Every 3 months, it's 6 months.
A seasonal income that amounts to more than they earn in the city.
Not monthly income.
But the bigger payoff has been the land itself, making graduates like Atta pretty wealthy, should they ever decide to sell.
Now it is at least around 400,000 pounds, but previously maximum 10,000 pounds.
Are you tempted to sell?
Yes.
Would you like to sell?
No. How can sell it? No. How can sell? This is the main thing. This is a good thing we built in our life till date.
Accounts like this from Atta, Amal and other graduates suggest that a broader economic effect is also taking shape in Upper Egypt, traditionally the poorest region in the country.
You see a lot more economic vitality in these villages. There are many indicators that suggest that life for people has improved.
Despite these successes, the government has decided not to renew its long-sighted experiment on helping graduates back to the land. That is, unless they have agriculture degrees and are willing to join forces with larger investors. So this fairy tale is over, at least for most new entrants.
What we found was that out of all those graduates who were lucky enough to get the land, those who had agriculture background were more successful as farmers than the others. What we plan in the future is to make sure that all graduates who take part have a background in agriculture.
Some may say that's a pity. At last, Hassan is starting to get the hang of things, especially now the long-promised tractor has finally arrived. In a village where 8 in 10 are graduates, this social experiment has amounted to a successful community.
والله الحياة مع الخريجين أولاً
living in this village with the graduates is special. We were almost all the same age when we received the land.
كله متعلم.
The graduates who stayed faced the same problems, and when they had difficulties, they supported each other. So now it is like a big family here.
And among them, Hassan's become something of a pillar of the community.
Hassan has become one of the most popular people in the village. He is very helpful and takes part in lots of activities.
Their collective efforts as farmers have resulted in the reclamation of more than 1 million acres of land and the emergence of a new desert economy.
اللي مش عارف يشارك بيأجر بيجي له عقد يشتغل بيعمل مصلحة تاني.
So it has opened a great many opportunities. People who didn't have work found a way to farm, and now business is booming.
Just a few minutes from Hassan's village, a new city rises up in the desert. The green fields and stories of the graduate farmers continue to attract other investments. Today, some of the women from Hassan's village have come to this government-supported training center to learn how to preserve foods in the hope of developing a cottage industry.
There is a Turkish processor who is interested in sun-drying tomatoes. He's willing to buy whatever they can make at their homes right away. So there is a buyer for this product.
Even back in Cairo, people are talking about the graduates in the desert. At a conference about how Egypt will feed itself in the future, agricultural experts and representatives from big business recognize the graduates' success.
The New Berea region, where these Mubarak new graduates are working or living, we find it's a very different mentality. They're a lot more receptive to what we're doing, a lot more interested in learning, and a lot more interested in forward contracting with the processors and making that link with the processing industry. And we think that that is very important. There has to be a link.
One of the world's largest processors is Heinz Foods. They now buy 6,000 tons of tomatoes a year from the graduates.
We give them all our technology or our recommendations. So we make a contract with them for the crops. We deliver the crops to the factory and finish the contract very smooth and very good.
All of this activity only makes Hassan's decision to give up a career in business and toil in the desert sound that much smarter. Even so, Hassan still doesn't call himself a farmer.
مش عايز اقول انا فلاح لان انا لو قلت انا فلاح هظلم الفلاحين، لكن الخبره الزراعيه اللي انا اتعلمتها لو مارستها صح بفضل الله تعالى اتفوق الحمد لله. يعني اصبحت ايه يعني برشد الناس من اللي هم علموني الارشاد يعني.
Maybe the government never intended it quite this way, but it seems Hassan and the graduates may have got lucky after all. They've made money on their investment and helped others too. As for the millions of other graduates who can't find stable jobs in the global economy, they yet have to wait for their own fairy tale.